kettle. Hello. So, a little while ago, I did a video which I called Unedited Matt, which is basically a live stream without the live bit. And it's just me talking randomly, which all of this is. It was basically a way to upload some content at the time when I was really struggling with how long it was taking me to edit a particular video, and I thought I haven't uploaded anything for a while, so I will try and figure something out, something that's quick. I don't really need to edit, that I can just, talk about a subject and upload it, and at least that's something really interesting that's on the page. Cool. And then I thought, well, how am I going to decide what to talk about? And for some reason, I'm still not quite sure if I decided to do a poll on Twitter. And rather than say, what should I talk about in my next video, here are some options that I've also randomly decided on. I can't think what I did now, but I did something really random, and it wasn't this, but it was basically along the lines of, Mr. Brown has gone to France. He's sitting in a restaurant. What should he eat? And then I've picked these random topics. And people obviously, they chose to contribute. And I ended up with two options that I then talked about. I don't know why I did it like that, but there we are. The two options that won were anger and Bob's Burgers. Yeah. They came equally. So I decided to talk about those. I did like the 10 favourite things about each and recent experiences and all that sort of stuff. And we got into some interesting topics. I say we, like I decided to talk about random stuff, including what makes a burger. Is it the bun or is it the patty, or who knows? Anyway, so we're at that point again where I'm editing an episode of Complete Terminator. It's taking a long time, and I'm aware that I haven't uploaded any new content for a while, so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do a new video in the meantime. Same process, went on Twitter, and I thought, again, let's not ask just a normal question. I will do a sort of random thing and see how people respond and talk about that. And in my head, I was thinking I was going to do Bob from Bob's Burgers needs cheering up. How will we cheer him up? And then just come up with the topics. And instead I said, Batman is angry. How do we cheer him up? And I think that's because I was wearing a Batman t-shirt when I did the video, and I was thinking about that for some reason. And then I had my options. I had happiness, trying to distance myself from the anger previously. I had Marvel, because again I was thinking Batman. I'll point out, actually, recently I was having a discussion with my mate, and he said that I don't like Marvel, which isn't true. I'm just very slow and quite behind on it, and therefore I shouldn't really have my geek card. Can I point out that would someone not deserving of a geek card have this book? A history of the early London telephone exchanges from 1880 to 1912. No. Anyway, so Marvel, randomly board games. I don't know why. I have no idea where they come from. And other, please specify. The people responded to the poll. One person who wrote on the other said that you would send Batman to Arkham to cheer him up, Arkham Asylum. I don't know if it's just because they don't like Batman and they just wanted to send him there, or if it's because Batman would like to beat everyone up in Arkham, and that would cheer him up. Happiness got some votes, but the winner, the clear winner, was board games, obviously. A topic that I put completely randomly, and I have no idea why. So yes, board games, it was the topic. There was even Anne on there. She said that she would like to see Batman playing a board game, and of course found Batman Monopoly. Of course there's Batman Monopoly, because there's a Monopoly version of everything, and there's also a Batman version of everything, so it's a marriage made in heaven. So yes, actually, briefly talking about Bob's Burgers, my wife went to see the Bob's Burgers movie the other day, and she loved it, and I want to see it. The end. Okay, so So there we go. That's how we get to this point. Talking about such a roundabout way of doing it. Talking about board games. Excellent. Okay, let's move this, shall we? Da 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 da. Okay. Yep, gone far. Okay, so board games. Board games are like the pre-video game kind of. We were not a board game family as such. My mum hated and probably still hates Monopoly, which is the kind of standard. She was always really hesitant to play Monopoly. It's raining, there's nothing on TV, and I would suggest it, and she would want to play literally anything else. If we did, it was generally quite a short game. Didn't enjoy Monopoly. We just had a kind of pretty bog standard Monopoly set that everyone had that said Milton and Bradley on the side. You always get the kind of the idea of when you were last playing it, everything's in the wrong order, the dice are missing, etc., etc. That was my childhood experience of Monopoly. There was one other game which I remember from my youth that I really loved, and it was far easier than Monopoly, which was Frustration. All built around the little plastic dome of joy, which had the dice in it. So instead of rolling the dice, you would press the little bubble, and it would make a very satisfying popping noise. I probably can't do it. Now I just have a wet finger. But yes, that was great. And then you moved your little count around and got back home. That was awesome. I loved that. It didn't have any problems with rolling the dice. It was interactive. Yes, so I enjoyed that a lot. That was great. And then in more recent years, my candle's gone out. Oh, that's very annoying. Sorry, I must investigate the candle. Why have you gone out? That's so random and strange. Apologies for the awkward angle. Yes, then in more recent years, we acquired a kind of retro. I can't remember how. Come on, little candle. Is that it? Is the candle dead? I think it is. No. Oh. No. My Madagascar vanilla candle is no more apparently. Oh, there we are. Right. Where were we? There. That was a fun little expedition, wasn't it? Yes, fine. We ended up with I can't remember how, like a retro styled Monopoly. It wasn't an actual old school Monopoly. It was a like style. It wasn't a traditional Monopoly. It was just retro styles. It was new, but it had the wooden box, had the wooden pieces. It was one that we don't play or wouldn't play very often because I didn't want to break it. But it looked very nice on the shelf. No geek card. And then we had something else. I can't think what it is. And we also we've got a wooden Tiddlywinks game as well, which fits the theme. But that's it. I don't remember a lot of games from my youth. Now, weirdly enough, recently going through all of this stuff. Yeah. I mean, there was more. I have cleared some, but going through it recently, there was a box of board games. Voila. I do remember some, and then some were just weird. So I do have these. But yeah, I'll look at those. Oh, the other game, obviously, besides the fact that we had Monopoly and all that, the other game that I got at Christmas and which was awesome was this one, the Back to the Future game. Yeah, perfect. The end of last year was quite a Back to the Future year for some reason. I ended up watching like a couple of the films, if not all of the films, and I had the Playmobil DeLorean, which is amazing, and also ended up with the, don't fall down really, also ended up with the board game, which we played while watching Back to the Future. And then I thought it would make an awesome backdrop to the display cabinet where it now sits. My wife was like, I think a little while ago, probably a few weeks ago, "Oh, we can play the game." And I said no, because it's there. I mean, I can get it out, but it's probably a bad idea to put an active game sort of behind other things. But there you are. It just looks awesome. Okay, have I moved? I've moved again. Okay, now I'm going to look at these board games that we got and see what they are, see what we come up with. Okay, board game number one. If this counts, it's kind of a modern take on a board game. Modern. Seen it. The DVD game. Or back when DVDs were literally everywhere. Yes, this one, this quite dusty box, was a movie-based game. Massive box. A movie-based game where you would watch clips of films and they would ask you questions about the clips. Really nice idea. And actually we played this a fair amount of time. The problem with this was it had a massively long setup. Almost as bad as Monopoly. Like, oh, we're going to play this. Well, where's the DVD? Have you got the DVD? There's only one disc in here. Oh, the disc is sticking because it's been played it for so long. It's got a scratch on it. Da 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 da. And obviously, if the disc is scratched, you have no alternative because the whole game is based around the disc. So, seen it. This is actually one that I do remember playing quite a lot. That I completely forgot about until I opened the box with it in. Also in the box of goodies was no, that's not right. Bum bum bum. The Chase. The Chase is on. Yes, this is the official Bradley Walsh electronic family board game from Ideal. There's the classic run of Chasers on the back. Based on the ITV quiz show. So yeah, this is awesome. Also comes with an electronic timer, which it very proudly promotes on the front of the box. Yeah, I love the Chase. Nothing like a good bit of afternoon quizzing. When you were ill, for me anyway, when I was ill off school as a child, you always could tell how much time had passed in the day because suddenly the quiz shows would start. And you were like, it's early to mid-afternoon. Yes. Still watch the Chase. Still love the Chase. Bradley Walsh is awesome. I can't think when I last played this game. It was a while ago. It's got little models of the Chasers, and there it is in a circle. Because now they've got Beat the Chasers. It's a whole thing. But yeah, must be quite old. 2012. It's 10 years old. Then we've got this, which is obviously a game I have played massively. This is QI, the board game with, not only is it obviously old because we have the original host. Oh, that's a nasty reflection. Yeah, Stephen Fry. When was it? I thought it was 1996 then. That's impossible. It's just the BBC logo hasn't updated since then. Come on. Release the Kraken. Release your secrets. Fine. Don't. I don't care. QA the board game. Obviously played a lot because it's still in the protective wrapping. We've got dice, of course, digital timer, a board, questions. Winnie the Pooh is named after a teddy bear owned by Christopher Robin. What was the origin of the name Winnie? Winnipeg. Educational and fun. Yes. Boom. So the QI board game. Again, not actually, I adore Stephen Fry, but not actually a TV show that I watched that often. But here it is, QI, the board game. And of course, considering it is literally the GOAT of board games, I have a variant on Monopoly. This is the one that comes with the Play Faster speed die. Completely forgot that die is the plural of dice, but then I suppose dices doesn't make any sense. But this is the box is all around. This comes with a speed die, which enables the skilled among us to play faster. For some reason, this is when they start. When have you got a year? Here we are. 2009, and they're really starting to embrace the modern technological aspects of gaming. And Monopoly's always been good at that, trying to expand into other areas. So we've got more ways to play, including online on a phone. The picture of the phone they use is hilarious, or on some sort of game console. There's the picture of the phone from 2009. And we've got the speed dial. Use the speed dial for the fastest and most intense Monopoly experience ever as of 2009. This is cool. As a side note with Monopoly, I've always seen my sister-in-law as a Monopoly guru. And I've always in my own head envisaged her as someone that collects every different type of Monopoly she can get her hands on, which I think I made up. And when I found this, I asked her if she wanted it, to which she said no, politely. And I said, oh, already got it, eh? I thought she would have. Or she just doesn't want another version of Monopoly in her house. But here we are. Yes, the Monopoly Play Faster Speed Die. Boom! So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's not as cool as the all wooden set that I own. It's still nice to have alternative features. They've got so many of these different types now, just absolutely loads. Okay. Besides that, of course, for me personally, as I said, problem. Yeah, I'm more a video game guy. Got my first video game console apart from the BBC Micro, which does count. Mr. Men Game. My first actual console was the PlayStation in like 96, I think, 97, maybe. And that was me then. Notable, obviously, I missed out on all the NES and all that sort of thing. And Arnold's films, particularly from 1987, Predator onwards, there was a run where they all got, or most of them got, an adaptation as video games rather than board games. But with the modern resurgence of board games and tabletop games, there have been games coming through. There was a Kickstarter for at least 2, I think, Terminator games. I don't know if they ever came to anything. And Terminator Genesis, and for ages I moaned that Terminator Genesis doesn't have nothing supporting it. Oh, it's just on its own, I would decry. But no, it had a tabletop game and an expansion pack. It was amazing. These things I would love to have. I kind of came close with the Terminator Dark Fate, not technically a board game, but kind of Terminator Dark Fate card game, which I got for Christmas. And it's just permanently set up there. Amazing. Still haven't quite figured out the nuances and the foibles of this game. But I've been trying and it's amazing. It's just amazing to have something like this. Cannot wait to probably kind of fully get into it, and it's awesome. And there it is. So that kind of counts. Let's move. Okay. Nowhere particularly exciting. Let's no, that's not going to work. No. Okay. Oh. Yeah. So Terminator game's awesome. Getting that pushed through. And there are lots of everything's got some sort of spin-off and everything's got some potential game linked to it. Yes, Minions. Of course there was a Minion. I'm sure there are billion minion board games. There was a Despicable Me 2 version of Monopoly, I think, with Minions on, but Minions is just like Batman. We've had something with them on everywhere. Actually, talking about Batman, if you kind of think of a kind of board game, because it's kind of played on a board if you're a professional, puzzles. And yes, I have a puzzle. So for Christmas, me and my wife bought each other puzzles. I bought her a Frida Kahlo puzzle. She bought me a Batman puzzle. She did hers in like 2 minutes, and I'm still here in June. But this is my attempt so far. Not the oops. That's just the box. This, the pieces. Yeah, I'll get there. I'm just incredibly slow with puzzles. There we are. But all is well. So yes, there we are. Board games. If you're watching and you feel so inclined, tell me about some board games that you played with as a kid, and I'll see if I know about them or have any memories. Oh, one thing. Let's see if this works. So I have this book. Back to the old spot. This is TV Cream Toys. Weird name by Steve Berry. This was actually my. This was a book from my mother-in-law, which I would always read when I went around there No, good God. So eventually she said that I could have it. Just lists loads of different toys from different eras. Let's see if there's a board game. Do we find a board game? Ooh, we have. From the start, it's the 1963 classic Mousetrap. Oh. In fact, it describes itself here as average board game, genius contraption. But still, Mousetrap. Everyone knows Mousetrap. Mousetrap. Brilliantly inventive and interactive board game of the early 60s. Stunning. Not one I actually owned, I don't think. Okay, there we are. Thank you for joining me on this quest into board games and my own personal history with them, particularly Monopoly and the Terminator games on tabletop or in tabletop format. Okay, we're going to just quickly finish off by looking at something random in the room. Today... Okay, it's a book because of where I'm standing. It's an autobiography on a figure that does tend to divide people. It's a book that I was interested in getting. I've had this in years. Do not take me having the book as supporting or not supporting the man. It's just a book that I had. Although my nan did once see that I had the book and got quite angry. This is Tony Blair's autobiography, A Journey, which I really enjoyed. I haven't read for ages. I got to there before, and it's very, I sound like an idiot, it's very political, obviously, but it talks about the kind of machinations of how the Labour Party works, and there's a lot of detail, and he writes in this kind of floaty style that it's not just like this happened, like a diary. There's lots of like inner thoughts and all sorts of stuff. It took a while to get used to it because it was talking a lot about local politics and how the party works and who all these different people are. But really interesting read, particularly if you read it objectively and not as in someone that either really, really loves Tony Blair for some reason or really, really hates the man. You just go into it and read it as a description about politics at that time, which is quite interesting. That was also between TV Cream Toys, weirdly enough, and Jeffrey Deaver's Garden of Beasts. I went through a period of picking up like loads of hardbacks. This is one of them. Jeffrey Deaver. I also have Carte Blanche, which is a Bond book that he wrote that I'm not actually that keen on. I've been picking up Bond books lately. That one I've had for ages, but it's so little detail and it just zooms past everything. I picked up Casino Royale from Vintage Classics recently, very exciting. And I also picked up, where have I put it? License Renewed, which was the kind of soft 80s reboot of Bond by John Gardner, who went on to write loads of Bond books. But yes, this is awesome. This is Second World War era. Amazing, really, really good. Better than Carte Blanche, easily. Okay, and we're going to end with one more look at TV Cream Toys, the weirdest titled book that I own, possibly. Let's just see something random that we get from it. Oh, that's amazing. I want that. This is the 1977 Doctor Who TARDIS. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Obviously, you have to like Doctor Who and the colour blue. That's awesome. Didn't need batteries. Okay, cool. Easily breakable. Lovely. I'd get that if I saw that in a shop. Anyway. Thanks again. Thanks for watching. Board games, Doctor Who, Tony Blair. What more could you want? See you soon. Have a lovely day.